Terraria mod packs. For the longest time, playing multiple big content mods together was either impossible or extremely unbalanced and always had tons of problems. And I think that pretty much everyone who enjoys playing modded Terraria had the same thought as me. Just like Minecraft, Terraria should have its own mod packs. That's when I announced the creation of Brave Souls, which I hope will start the Terraria mod pack movement. And even though Brave Soul is not playable right now since it's still being worked on, there is another ultra-modded mod pack that shares the same DNA as Brave Souls, a mod pack that's playable right now. This is Infernal Eclipse of Ragnarok. It is currently the most stable ultra-modded experience that you can dive into today, along with almost 100,000 players, blending Calamity, Infernum, Thorium, Secret of the Shadows, Consonaria, and a lot of other content mods into a single adventure that will last you well over 100 hours. What differs from just putting the mods together on their own is the Infernal Eclipse compatibility mod, which makes thousands of changes to all of the mods included in the pack, like balancing changes, crafting tree changes, world generation fixes, and much more. Some other mods are also included to add or modify necessary content to make the progression feel as smooth as possible. The result is a constantly updated mod pack containing tons of bosses for you to beat, tons of new structures and points of interest to explore, and 7 classes that are completely playable from start to finish. In this video, we dive headfirst into this mod pack by showing the entire progression from the creation of the world to the very last boss and everything in between. Trust me on this, if you are looking to play modded Terraria but didn't really know what mods to play, stop what you're doing, watch the installation guide I made for the pack, install it, and follow along this video while playing the pack yourself. Personally, playing this pack twice for the purposes of this video was the most fun I had playing modded Terraria since a long time, as you're practically rediscovering the entire game. Also, quick note about multiplayer. I'm delighted to be able to say that yes, the Infernal Eclipse mod pack is multiplayer compatible, and if you plan on playing this mod pack with your friends, I highly recommend to get a dedicated server from the channel sponsor Bisect Hosting. Before the release of this video, I asked the developer at Bisect Hosting to add a feature to the Terraria server panel which would allow mod packs to be installed with a single click, and they did it. Once you have your own server, all you have to do to install the pack on it is to put the workshop collection ID for the pack, and it will install all of the necessary mods automatically instead of manually having to add them in the files. And with their new Bisect 1 servers, you only need to rent a single server to be able to host a ton of different games like Minecraft, Core Keeper, Hytale, Stardew Valley, Vintage Story, and many others, which you can swap between with a single click on the same server. To get 25% off your first month, please click the link in the description and put code BROME during checkout. It really helps the channel. So, whether you're following along with me or simply want me to show you what this mod pack is all about, welcome to the Infernal Eclipse of Ragnarok progression guide. Let us begin our adventure by creating a new player and a new world. Let's get started. Spawning in, the first thing that you will notice is that you have a small starter base. There are different versions that can spawn, so you probably won't have the same as mine. First thing you want to do is to open your starter bag containing some rudimentary gear for every class, some potions, and other things to get you started. Begin by exploring your surroundings to find some of the new structures added. Let's do a rapid fire of all of the surface structures so you know what to look for when I mention them later. From closest to farthest of spawn, you have the abandoned village in your evil biome, the cursed pyramid in the desert, the frost rune in the tundra, the dungeon at the opposite side of the jungle, and the graveyard just next to the dungeon. Now that you have explored a fair bit of the surface, let's head underground. Mining straight down from the spawning area, you'll discover an abandoned mine shaft with some loot. Try to find as many life crystals to max out your HP. Just know that you also have an option to craft life crystal using life quartz you can find underground. Mine some thorium, craft the thorium anvil and the thorium shield, good for early game. While in the caves, you will most likely encounter some gems. In this mod pack, gems have quite a lot of uses, so let's go through them. First, just like in vanilla, gems will be a good way to get your first grappling hook. Gems are also used a lot to make your magic storage system, and as you probably know, with the sheer amount of stuff you will be picking out during your journey, getting your magic storage system ready as soon as possible is going to be absolutely crucial. Then, remember the large gems, the ones that have no use and drop when you die? Well, now they have a use, added by Secrets of the Shadows. All around the world you see structures with a gem lock and a gem chest corresponding to the required large gem. By filling the lock with the correct gem, you'll get some loot and clear one layer of the wormholes. Oh yeah, wormholes. If I had $1 for every time that someone got confused and asked for help regarding these random circles that spawn right in the middle of nowhere, I would be a multi-billionaire by now. So once and for all, let me explain the concept of wormholes and anomalies. When you play on your world, 3 things called anomalies will be present. One of them is an NPC called the Archaeologist, which can be found in certain structures, especially the gemstone structures we'll talk about earlier. Finding this NPC for the first time can be tricky, as you don't know in which structure he'll be in, so you'll most likely have to rely on luck. But once you find him, you'll be able to buy the Anomaly Locator, which will reveal the location of the Archaeologist when he eventually switches places, and also the remaining 2 anomalies, which are the 2 wormholes. When you begin your world and encounter a wormhole, it will appear like this. But as I said, putting the large gems in each of the gemstone structures will remove one layer of the wormhole barrier, until you have filled all of the gem locks, and the wormhole will be completely open and show what's on the other side of the other wormhole in the world and let you cross it and teleport to the other side. The placement of these 3 anomalies is not permanent and actually changes quite often, determined by a randomly recurring anomaly tick, which is why I said that it is pretty hard to meet the Archaeologist for the first time. That was a lot of information, but it's better to know about it now than later. Okay, back to the main progression. Once with full platinum or gold, go to the underground desert and kill some Storm Lion for Storm Lion Mandible, craft the Grand Flare Gun and Storm Flare, and use it in the desert to fight Grand Thunderbird. Killing Grand Thunderbird unlocks your first pair of early game wings, as well as Sandstone, a material useful to make thrower gear. This also unlocks the Desert Acolyte, which is where you can buy blank technique scrolls to make thrower techniques if you're playing the thrower class. You can explore the surface abandoned village, located in the evil biome, get old keys from breaking boxes or killing enemies, and open the chest for some good loot, including weapons and materials such as ancient steel, which will be useful later. Eventually, a slime raid might occur. After killing 150 slimes, this would be your best chance to attempt the first vanilla boss, King Slime. If you stumble across the gravitation potion, you can use it to start exploring the sky. Above spawn, you will see the main planetoids, which will begin the Draydon questline, eventually leading to fighting the Exomechs. In this planetoid, you'll find power cell factories and charging stations. When placed by the player, power cell factories will produce 1 power cell every 15 seconds. These power cells can then be put in the charging station to charge the weapons from the Draydon's arsenal. These weapons can only be unlocked after finding certain schematics in the Draydon labs in each biome. Other important structures in the sky include the floating islands with useful accessories like the lucky horseshoe or red balloon, and small planetoids which contain ore or lava crystals. Above the ice biome, you will find the planetarium, composed of multiple small floating islands and one main platform at the center, which will be used to fight the advisor boss later on. You will also find in the sky an evil island with the opposite evil from the rest of your world. While exploring and continuing your progress, you may have stumbled across a material from Secret of the Shadows called Fragment of Earth. These can be combined with Vibrant Shard found in Geode's Underground and Thorium bars, creating Vibrant Alloy, which then can be turned into your first set of Void weapons for your chosen class. You may have noticed this purple bar on the top of your screen. This is the Void bar added by Secret of the Shadows. All you have to know for now is that it works kind of similarly to mana for the mage class, but the Void mechanic is not a new class, and you have Void weapons for all classes weaknesses. When you use a void weapon, it will deplete your bar, which will then take a few seconds to regenerate, which is pretty slow in the early game. Be advised that unlike when your mana depletes completely, you will still be able to use your void weapons, but at the cost of losing a large amount of HP, and if you get hit, you will take 200% damage until you enter void recovery. Void weapons are usually stronger than regular weapons for each respective class, but for now, using them won't be very reliable as a primary weapon, as you won't be able to use them continuously, so it's recommended to use them as a side weapon during battles. There will be ways to increase your void stat, which we will touch on later, but if you are really interested in trying out void weapons, you can craft the vibrant armor, focused on improving void and ranger stats. You should now be ready for Desert Scorch. Take the storm feather you got from the Grand Thunderbird and a few other desert materials and go to a demon altar in your evil biome to craft the desert medallion and fight the boss in the desert. Killing the Desert Scourge will unlock materials to make sea remains, used to make new weapons and a new class-specific armor, and will allow you to fight the giant clam in the second sea. Go to the second sea below the underground desert and fight the giant clam, which can randomly spawn in the biome, or you can summon it using the summon item Infernal Ad. After beating the giant clam, go talk to the Sea King you liberated, and it will grant you its blessing, allowing you to breathe underwater for a few minutes, useful if you want to continue to explore the rest of the second sea. While exploring the second sea, you will find the second sea lab, and by looting the chest here, you will find the second sea schematic and navy plate in the middle of the structure. Obtaining the schematics make new weapon available, unlike other schematics, which will need to be decrypted first. After going home with this new schematic, craft the Codebreaker base from a charging station, mysterious secretary, and dubious plating, which, as the name implies, will be the base of your future completed Codebreaker and where you will put all of the upgrades. The next part of the Codebreaker is the decryption computer, with the craft unlocked by obtaining the second sea schematic, but crafting it requires wires bought from the mechanic, so we need to get back to it after we beat Skeletron. If you have obtained a suspicious looking egg from Evil or Disaster's Bunny, you can use it to summon Lepus, a side boss added by Terraria. Now you should be ready for the first important boss, the Eye of Cthulhu. Summoned manually using a suspicious looking eye, or has a 30% chance to spawn every night if you have more than 200 HP and 10 defense, as well as having a few NPCs in your world. Killing it will unlock a few things. First, you will get access to your evil biome ore, either Crimtane or Demonite, which can be used to craft a few more weapons and to make your first magic storage upgrade. Something to also note is that the Tinkerer's workbench now requires to have killed the Eye of Cthulhu, as the workbench is now a craft composed of the abandoned workshop dropped by the Eye and the Tinkerer's repair blueprint sold by the Goblin. Now that you have the abandoned workshop, you'll need the remaining material sold by the Goblin Tinkerer. Go to your evil biome and break one heart, which will now make it possible for the Goblin army to appear, or you can also summon the army manually by using the Goblin battle standard. Once you defeat the army, go find the Goblin in the underground and buy the repair blueprint from him to complete the workshop, allowing you to begin some of the accessory crafting trees. The path to Terrace Park boats is unchanged, so you already can begin progressing towards it. Your next boss will be Glowmoth, a glowing mushroom boss. To summon it, go collect some glow web in the mushroom biome and transform it into glow nylon at a loom. Then bring this, some glowing mushrooms and a candle at an altar to craft this suspicious looking candle. While we're doing glowing mushroom bosses, we will also beat Crabalon by summoning it with the Decapodita Sprout, which you can craft with the infected Mothwing Spore that we got from the Glow Moth. Beating Crabalon will give you your first Rage Meter upgrade with the Mushroom Plasma Root. If you discover the Aether biome, you can use the Shimmer to get several permanent upgrades, like a Life Crystal to get Phyto Crystal, a Mana Crystal to get Arcane Crystal, and any Life Fruit to get Ambrosia. Since you defeated the Eye of Cthulhu, you now have access to the Acid Rain, a random occurring event at the Sulphurous Sea where you have to beat a certain amount of enemies. The next step is going to beat your first evil boss, either Brain of Cthulhu or Eater of Worlds. Go to your evil biome and break 3 hearts to summon it. Beating your first evil biome boss will unlock a few new things in the progression. First, you will gain access to either tissue samples or shadow scales, allowing you to make a new tier of pickaxe. Getting these new materials also unlock your first void bar upgrade by crafting either the Scarlet or Violet Crescent, crafted from a dissolving earth dropped by earthen spirits underground, a mana crystal, 5 fragments of evil dropped from abandoned village enemies, 5 fragments of other worlds dropped from planetarium enemies, and 15 tissue samples. You also unlock access to the Cursed Pyramid by using the mysterious drop by the evil boss in the entrance of the pyramid. You can start to explore the structures and get a few goodies here and fight the Pharaoh's Curse. To fight the boss, you'll have to go to the small caves in the pyramid and break the crystal in the middle, where enemies will spawn in waves before being able to collect it. Repeat this process for the 3 caves in the pyramid to finally open the door to the coffin room when you will fight the boss. Just note that even though it is possible to fight the boss now, it's not really recommended at this stage and would be best to fight as the last boss before Skeletron. With your new evil gear, now would be a good time to begin exploring the underworld. Once there, don't forget to grab a Hell Forge and mine some Hellstone. In the underworld, you will find the Sanctuary, a structure that won't be useful until much later in the progression. You will also find the Brimstone Crag biome and the Underworld Biocenter Lab, where you will be able to find Murasama, even though it can be used right now. You'll also find the Underworld Encrypted Schematic, which won't be used until much later on, so keep it somewhere safe. Lastly, you'll find at the edge of the world the Profane Garden, which will be useful much later on in post-Moonload to find the Profane Guardians and Providence. But for now, you can get the Wayfinder item, which allows you to set a location in the world you can teleport to at any time by using the item. The next boss is going to be Queen Jellyfish, which can be summoned using a Jellyfish Resonator in the ocean. After it is defeated, the Diverman NPC will spawn. Then, the next boss is going to be Viscount. To fight it, you'll need to find the Blood Chamber structure in the caverns, and to summon it, bring 5 Unholy Shards crafted from Blood Orbs obtained during a Blood Moon. Next mini-boss is Corpse Bloom, a pretty trivial mini-boss appearing randomly in the underground jungle. The next pretty major boss you will fight is again an evil biome boss, either Perforator for Crimson or Hive Mind for Corruption. To summon it, kill either the randomly spawning Hive Tumor or Perforator Cyst in your evil biome, which will initiate the fight. Killing this boss will make Aeolite ore available. This ore can be found on Sky Islands and can be used to make a new armor for every class and a new pair of wings with the Skyline wings, better than the Fledgwind wings or Zephyr wings from all the way back to Grand Thunderbird. To make gear using Aeolite, you'll need to make the Sky Mill crafting station. With your new Aeolite gear, you will now be ready to fight a few more bosses. First up is going to be Queen Bee in the Hive from the Underground Jungle. Then Putrid Pinky in any biomes using a jar of peanuts. Then Deer Clops in the Tundra using a deer thing. As I said before, the last step before fighting Skeletron should be to finish the Curse Pyramid by fighting the Pharaoh's Curse. Defeating the boss will unlock the Cursed Matter material, used to make a few weapons and a mage armor, but notably for a new Void upgrade called the Voiden Ink, crafted from this material, soul residue from the pyramid enemies, and Evo Stone from the Sanctuary. Consuming the ink will give you 20 extra Void and increase Void generation by 2%, and the item can be used 5 times, giving a total base of 250 Void if you also made the previous upgrade. With the curse out of the way, you should now be ready to fight Skeletron, so head to the dungeon at night and talk to the armed man to initiate the fight. A lot of things are going to happen right after you beat Skeletron. The first thing you'll notice is that an NPC called Solane will fall from the sky. You'll see that interacting with Solane is a lot different than other NPCs. Talking to her will start a questline that would last until the very end of the game, beginning with setting up a camp by placing the strange flagpole she gives you on a flat and clear area. Once the camp has been set up, you'll be able to interact with a bookshelf inside of the tent to place special books you get by accomplishing certain tasks. You might already have a few of them, so check on your storage for books that come from the Wrath of the Gods mod and go place them in the bookshelf of the camp, as each book will give you a few rewards. Next, Solane will ask you to repair a telescope with some wood and platinum or gold. Once it is repaired and at night, you'll be able to observe the stars and a strange rift near the moon. Next, defeating the Skeletron gives you access to the dungeon. The dungeons remain largely similar to the vanilla one, but with new enemies and loot. You'll also gain access to dark steel ingots and will be able to find the illusionist mini-boss by finding a mirror you can interact with in the dungeon. While there, don't forget to take a shadow key to open the chest in the underworld for some good loot. Also grab the alchemy table, which will be a very useful crafting station to make potions. Talking about potions, if you haven't yet invested into them, now would be a good time to start. And with your new alchemy table, you can also start to duplicate them using blood orbs. The recipe using blood orbs is changed by the modpack from base calamity, requiring to have the potion beforehand to be able to duplicate them. For both vanilla and modded potions, some of the good options to look for will be swiftness potion, regeneration potion, thorns potion, iron skin potions, heart witch potion, summoning potion, endurance potion, rage potion, wrath potion, any food that makes you exquisitely stuffed, blood potion, bouncing flame potion, frenzy potion, brittle potion, blue fire potion, rough skin potion, soul access potion, and assassination potion. Farming all of these potions will sure take a big grind to accomplish, but the massive stat boost you'll get for every facet of combat will make the effort worth it. Then, as we mentioned earlier, having access to the dungeon also means that you'll be able to find the mechanic, buy wires from her, and make the next component to the Codebreaker, being the decryption computer. With this new component installed, you'll now be able to interact with the Codebreaker and place the planetoid schematic in it. You'll just have to provide 500 power cells, click decrypt, and let it sit for a few minutes. After the decryption has been completed, you'll now have access to new weapons and the next part of the Codebreaker, being the long range sensor array, which will only be craftable in Hardmode. With all of your new gear and potions, you should be ready for the next few set of bosses. First is Turker the Ungrateful. To summon it, you'll have to find harpies in the sky to get a cursed stuffing, then buy a turkey feather for the merchant, equip it on your pet slot, then use the cursed stuffing to summon the boss. This boss has a pretty interesting expert drop, the Horn of a Plenty, which acts essentially as an infinite healing potion. The next two bosses are Granite Energy Storm and the Buried Champion from the Granite and Marble mini biomes, summoned by either killing a randomly spawning static entity like we did for the Perforator and Hive Mind, or by using an unstable core for the Granite boss and an Ancient Blade for the Buried Champion. They will each drop materials that is going to be used to make the summon for the Slime God, and the Buried Champion drops Champion Wings as its expert drop, a better pair of wings compared to the Skyline Wings. So once you have defeated them both, go make the Overloaded Sludge and fight the Slime God. Defeating the boss will unlock the Purified Gel material, which you can use for new weapons such as the Knight's Edge. You also unlock Statigel armor for each class. Beating the Slime God will also give you the Electrolyte Gel pack, which will be your first Adrenaline upgrade. Now let's get through the next few bosses before preparing to enter Hardmode, all of them being big machines. First is the Excavator. To fight it, you'll have to descend to the very bottom of the abandoned village mines and interact with the seismic station in the arena room. Then you have the Advisor, found in the planetarium up in the sky. Before finding it, you'll have to kill the 4 otherworldly constructs on the side of the main island. The 3 materials the Advisor drops, being Starlight Alloy, Hardlight Alloy and Twilight Alloy, will all be used to make the summons for the next boss, the Star Scatter. The Advisor also drops keys for the chest around the planetarium biome. Opening this chest will give a few more of the alloys, as well as some powerful new weapons, primarily being new void weapons. Then, the Star Scatter will be the last boss you'll need to beat before preparing to fight the Ball of Flesh. Before going to the underworld, let's check for a few things to make sure you are ready for early hard mode. In terms of accessories, you should now have the Terrace Pack boots, one accessory that grants you a dash, a pair of wings, and the rest being class-specific accessories. Before entering hard mode, it may be smart to set up a pylon system for easy travel around the world. Another thing to make sure you have completed is unlocking each of the gem chests around the world. Doing so will allow you to use the wormholes you find around the world, which allows you to do wormhole conversions, which is similar to Shimmer, where you can transform items into other items. Unlocking all of the gem chests also causes some new enemies to spawn around wormholes, which drop materials for new items. One of these items is the Soul Heart, being the final permanent void upgrade. Now that you are ready to go, build your horizontal arena in the underworld and drop that voodoo doll in the lava to summon the Wall of Flesh. Once the wall has been downed, prepare for some heavy lag as your game will change most of your world at the same time. Congratulations, you just entered hard mode. When entering hard mode, a ton of things will change in your world, so let's explore a little bit and see what we can find. For new biomes, we have the Hollow and the Astral Infection, both with their respective underground layers. As you probably know, Calamity changes the early hard mode progression, making you not have to break the evil altars to spawn the hard mode ores. Instead, Cobalt and Palladium will appear right as you beat the Wall of Flesh, and the other ores will appear as you beat the mechanical bosses. Now let me explain why this tier is called pre-Polaris and not just pre-mechanicals. As I just said, this modpack uses the improved early hard mode progression from Calamity, but it also expands on it. In this tier of progression, you'll have to beat the 3 mechanical bosses as usual, but beating the 3 mechanical bosses will lead you to a 4th, final mechanical boss called Polaris, with the Souls of Blight it drops being required to craft the items that will normally only require the 3 souls of the mechanical bosses. So now, let's see how you can prepare for your upcoming battles. Go down to the caves and collect Cobalt and Palladium to make a new tier of pickaxe, and also collect Souls of Light and Night from underground evil and hallowed enemies. There is also the Souls of Spite from Thorium for underworld enemies, and a few other new souls that we will cover later. Souls of Light and Night are going to be used for a lot of different crafts, so make sure to collect a good amount of both. Next up, you'll have to collect some Souls of Light from Wyverns in the Sky to make your first pair of hard mode wings. Having access to the Astral Infection gives you access to the Starblight suit material, which you can use with Fallen Stars and Meteorite Boss to make the Comet Shard, a new permanent mana upgrade. You'll also notice that enemies from certain biomes will drop new materials, like Essence of Eleum from ice enemies, Essence of Havoc from underworld enemies, and Essence of Sunlight from sky enemies, which will all be useful for crafts later on. Your first hard mode boss is going to be Borean Strider, summoned using a Strider Steer, crafted from a Force Core, Spider Fangs from hard mode spiders, Souls of Night, and Essence of Eleum. Also note that the boss can only be summoned using a Blizzard in the ice biome. Next up is going to be the Pirate Invasion event that you can summon using a pirate map. While fighting the invasion, Flying Dutchman ships will appear, with its expert drop being the first infinite stationary flight mount you'll have. Another invasion event you can do at this point is the Frost Legion, summoned by using a snow globe and gives a couple of new weapons for certain classes. Your next boss is going to be the Fallen Beholder, summoned using a Void Lance made from glass and Souls of Spite from underworld enemies. Defeating it will make one of two new ores appear in the world, either Lodestone chunks or Velagium chunks. You can craft them into ingots, then to weapons and armor. You can go check the underground jungle, as there will now be life fruits to increase your health. You'll need 25 of them, 20 to consume right away for an extra 100 HP, and 5 to make the blood orange later on. If a blood moon comes around, try to go fishing for a chance to make your next boss appear, Dread Nautilus. Remember that you can summon the blood moon manually using a bloody tear, and the boss can also be summoned using a red bait. There's not a ton of drops apart from the Sanguine Staff, which is a pretty powerful summoning weapon that could be useful to pick up even if you're not playing the summoner class, to at least fill your free summoning slot. The next boss is going to be Queen Slime, summoned using a gelatin crystal, which can either be found in the underground alloy or crafted with some alloyed materials. Then, you'll have to fight Cryogen, summoned using a Cryo Key crafted from Ice, Souls of Light and Night, Essence of Eleum, and Strider Fangs from the Burian Strider boss we fought earlier. Killing Cryogen will unlock a few things in your world. First of all, Cryonic Ore will appear in the underground snow biome. It's not going to be accessible now, as you need to get a pickaxe from a tier 3 Hardmode ore, but keep this in mind for later. Killing Cryogen will also free the Archmage NPC. After talking to him, he'll give you a dormant key, which you can give to Solin for inspection. She'll tell you that the key opens the Permafrost Skip, a naturally generated structure in the underground ice biome. Solin will teleport to it, and you'll have to find her at the entrance of the structure. Here, you'll find the Frostblade seedling. Collect it and go plant it on some grass. Your next fight will be against the literal polar opposite to Cryogen, being Pyrogen, summoned using a Pyro Key crafted from Sand, Souls of Light and Night, and Essence of Havoc. Now, you should be ready to fight your first mechanical boss. Make your choice between the Twins, the Destroyer, or Skeletron Prime. The recipe to make the summoning items is relatively similar to vanilla, except for needing a strange alien motherboard dropped from the star Skaru, so you may need to repeat this boss a few times to make the mechanical eye, worm, or skull. Beating your first mechanical boss will give you their respective soul, either Soul of Fright, Might or Sight, Strange Plating, and some life-powered energy cells. It will also make the tier 2 ores appear in your world, being Mithril and Orichalcum. Note that unlike in vanilla, the first 3 mechanical bosses you beat will not give you alloyed bars. Go mine a generous amount of both tier 2 ores and use them to craft either a Mithril or Orichalcum anvil, which will be used for Hardmode crafts. Unlocking tier 2 ores will also make the next component of the Codebreaker craftable, the long-range sensor array. The next encrypted schematic can be found in the underground jungle lab. Once you find it, bring it to the Codebreaker and decrypt it for 950 power cells. The next boss is going to be Aquatic Scourge, summoned in the Sulphurous Sea using the seafood item. Note that you'll need some queen jelly to make this, which drops from the queen jellyfish boss. After you've beaten it, you'll unlock the next tier of the Acid Rain event and encounter the Quagmire mini-boss. You should now get ready to fight your second mechanical boss. Defeating it will make the tier 3 ores appear in your world, being Adamantite and Titanium. Go mine some and use them to upgrade your Health Forge to a Titanium or Adamantite Forge, which will be used to smelt some of the later Hardmode ores. With the tier 3 pickaxe, you can now mine Cryonic ore in the underground ice biome. Cryonic bars will prove to be very useful at this point. You can make a new armor with the Daedalus armor. You can also really get to start the shield progression of the Modpack with the Hornet shield. To make it, you'll first have to get the Shadow Heart shield made from frigid bars and a hot crystal. Once you have the Shadow Heart shield, you'll be able to make the Hornet shield with Cryonic bar and crystal shards, which should replace your current dashing accessory. You can also make a more efficient pickaxe with the Shard Light pickaxe. Before fighting your last mechanical boss, you'll have to fight Brimstone Elemental in the Brimstone Crag biome using a Shard Idol. To craft this, you'll need Souls of Night, Essence of Havoc, Unholy Cores, and a Void Seer Pearl dropped by the Fallen Beholder. And now, you should be ready to fight your third mechanical boss. Even though you won't get hallowed bars from bosses until you beat Polaris, beating your third mechanical boss makes alloyed ore spawn in the underground hollow. A lot of items and upgrades you can do using alloyed bars also require the 4 souls of the mechanical bosses, but for now, you can craft the Angel Treads, which is the next upgrade to your Terra Spark boots. As said in the beginning of Hardmode, you'll need to fight the final mechanical boss Polaris to progress to the next tier. To summon this boss, you'll have to craft a Frost Key made from a dissolving aurora dropped from the Permafrost Spirit enemy in the ice biome, a frost core, and one of each mechanical boss soul. Then go to the frost rune and interact with the key on the frost artifact to start the fight. After beating Polaris, you'll both unlock alloyed bars and a ton of new upgrades needing the 4 souls of the mechanical bosses, so let's go through them quickly. Maybe the most important is the Pickaxe Axe, a new tier of pickaxe able to mine some of the future ores you'll encounter. Then you have the Avenger Emblem, crafted from any regular emblem, and the 4 mech souls, increasing damage by 12%. You can also upgrade your titanium or adamantite forge to the Soul Forge, which is required to smelt and make your future equipment. You will also be able to craft a new upgrade to your storage system with the alloyed upgrade. Of course, alloyed bars allow you to make a lot of new gear, including weapons and armors for every class. You can also make new resources like the absolute alloy from alloyed bars and souls of blight, or titanic bars from thorium. With your new pickaxe axe in hand, you should now head to the jungle and collect the newly available chlorophyte ore. Having all of the souls of the mech bosses also allows you to make the blood orange from life fruits, blood orbs, and 5 of each mech boss souls for an extra 25 HP. Beating the mechanical bosses unlocked a new tier for the Old World's army, making the Augur available to fight. Another available event is the Solar Eclipse, having a 1 out of 20 chance to happen for any day after at least one mechanical boss has been beaten. It can also be summoned using a solar tablet, but you need to have access to the temple to obtain the solar tablet fragments needed, so it's a post-Plantera recipe. Fighting the Solar Eclipse will give you a bit of loot, but some of the more important enemies like the Mothron only appears after Plantera has been defeated, so we'll need to get back on that later. The next boss on your list is the Lich. To fight this boss, you'll first need to gather 30 pumpkins, with pumpkin seeds being available to buy from the Dryad. Then go to the graveyard found behind the dungeon. Even though you can upgrade your shield right now, as it requires a post-Plantera core of Calamity, the other required item is the Ankh Shield, and as you know, it requires quite a bit of grind to get, so it's best to get started now before you push towards beating Plantera. To craft the Ankh Shield, you will need to get armor polish from armored skeletons in the caverns with a 1% drop chance, vitamins from either Corruptors or Floaty Cross, both being evil enemies with a 1% drop chance, combine both accessories to make armor bracing. Then get Bezwar from Hornet or Toxic Sludge from the jungle with a 1% drop chance, then Adhesive Bandage from Werewolves with a 1% drop chance, combine both accessories to get Medicated Bandage. Then get Fast Clock from Pixies, Mummies or Werfs, with each having a 1% drop chance, then Trifold Map from either Light or Spectral Mummies, Giant Bats or Clowns with a 1% drop chance, combine both accessories to get the plan. Then get Megaphone from either Pixies or Evil Mummies with a 1% drop chance, then Laser from Cursed Skulls, Cursed Armors, Enchanted Swords, or Crimson Axe with a 1% drop chance. Combine both accessories to get Counter Curse Mantra. Then get Blindfold from Evil Slimes or Mummies with a 1% drop chance. Then Pocket Mirror from Medusa with a 2.5% drop chance. Combine both accessories to get Reflective Shades, even though I just recommend farming 2 Blindfolds and putting 1 in the Shimmer. Combine all of the accessories remade into the Ankh Charm, then into the Ankh Shield by combining your charm with an obsidian shield, and there you go. Now you have a shield that negates both debuffs. You can equip it if you want, but it's useful to have it anyway since we will use it for the next shield upgrade. Now we can start our push towards Plantera. The last 2 bosses before it will be the Forgotten Shadow of Calamitas, or Calamitas clone if you're not playing on Infernum, and Calamitas Supreme Clam. First, to fight the Shadow of Calamitas, you'll need to craft the Eye of Desolation, crafted from Airstone Bars, Essence of Havoc, Void Seer Pearl from the Fallen Beholder, and 10 Unholy Cores. Defeating the Shadow of Calamitas will give you access to Ashes of Calamity, a material that you can use to make some equipment and will be useful later to make the Core of Calamity material. Then, to fight Calamitas, you'll need to craft the Clamitus Shell from Ashes of Calamity and Mollusk Husk. And now you should be ready to fight Plantera. Go to the underground jungle and find the Vernal Pass, which should be a big open area with a tree in the middle. Clear the middle island and the bridges and build your arena there. Once you are ready, break one of the large bulbs. If you die enough times and run out of giant bulbs, you can summon Plantera manually using an aromatic bulb. Defeating Plantera unlocks a lot of new things used for progression. You'll now be able to collect 2 new ores, Perennial Ore and Illumite Chunks, both found in the Carven layer, being both used to make new sets of armors and weapons. You also have access to the Living Shard material used in the Terra line of weapons. You should now make a visit to the dungeon to fight some of the new enemies there. Killing them will give you Ectoplasm, an important crafting material used to make the Core of Sunlight, Core of Havoc and Core of Eleum, which you can all combine to make the Core of Calamity. The Core of Calamity can then be used to make Asgard's Valor, a new upgrade to your shield using the Eng shield we made earlier and the Hornet shield. You can also use Ectoplasm and combine it with Thorium bars to make concentrated Thorium, which can then be used to make a new crafting material, either Demon Blood Shard for Crimson Worlds and Dread Soul for Corruption Worlds. You can also obtain other materials like the Dark Matter from dungeon enemies or Holy Knight's Alloy from Paladins. Killing Plantera has also unlocked the Biome chest in the dungeon and the Sky artifacts from the Secret of the Shadows mod. There's a pretty high chance that you already have at least one of the keys needed to open the chests, as certain mods make them much easier to get than the painful vanilla 1 out of 2500 drop chance, often dropping instead from certain bosses or obtainable in special chests. Also note that there is 3 new biome chests added, one for the underworld, one for the aquatic depths, and one for the astral biome. However, the astral biome chest will remain locked until the defeat of Astrum Aurus, a boss later in progression. Each of these chests all give new weapons for the Calamity and Thorium classes respectively. Currently, the Sky artifacts only have chests for the original biome chests and not Thorium or Calamity biome chests yet. Having Ectoplasm also allows you to make Spectre bars by combining Chlorophyte and Ectoplasm. Beating Plantera also means that the Auto Hammer will now be available to buy from the Truffle NPC. To get the Truffle NPC, you'll need to manually create a surface mushroom biome. Getting the Auto Hammer allows you to make Shumite bars from Chlorophyte and glowing mushrooms. And finally, by defeating Plantera, you now gain access to the Jungle Temple by using your temple key at the entrance. Even though we are not beating Golem right away, you can still go and explore as there is a lot of very good loot to get, especially in terms of weapons. The next boss is going to be Anaita and the Leviathan, summoned after killing a question mark enemy in the ocean. One good loot that this boss drops is the community, which increases several stats depending on your progress in terms of boss progression. It's a very good accessory that you can very well choose to keep until the end of your run. The next boss is Astrum Aurus, one of the 3 Astral Infection boss, summoned using an Astral Chunk crafted from Starblight Suit from Astral enemies and Fallen Stars. Beating this boss will give you some loot, but also the Starlight Fuel Cell, which is the second permanent adrenaline buff. And now, the last boss before beating the Golem is Okram, summoned at night using a suspicious looking skull, crafted from bones, ectoplasm, and 1 soul of each mech boss. Fulcrum drops some pretty good weapons that will be useful when fighting Golem, and a new soul called Soul of Blight. Speaking of which, now would be a pretty good time to fight the Golem. Before fighting it, make sure that you have some lizard power cells dropped from enemies in the temple or looted from temple chests. Make sure to disarm all of the traps present in the arena space, and when you're ready, use the power cell on the altar to start the fight. Beating the Golem unlocks yet another progression tier, with one of the most important item drop being the Pixel, a new tier of pickaxe with 210% pickaxe power. Having this new pickaxe will allow you to begin mining scoria ores in the third layer of the Abyss. To explore the Abyss more comfortably, it's recommended to make the Abyssal diving gear. It's quite a grind to get since you need the Arctic diving gear to make it, but it's almost required to get in order to explore this deep into the Abyss. A helpful tip when grinding for the Abyssal diving gear is that you can get a free set of Arctic diving gear in the snow biome Drayden lab. You can use scoria bars for quite a few new crafts. You obviously have the armors and the weapons for every class as for every major calamity ores, but you can also now make life alloys, a very important crafting material for later, crafted from cryonic, perennial, scoria, and titanic bars. Life alloys are also used to make the next upgrade to the Codebreaker, the advanced display. The next schematic to decrypt is the one from the Otherworld lab, requiring 1750 power cells to complete. Decrypting the schematic will unlock the craft to new Drayden weapons and to the next upgrade of the Codebreaker, which won't be craftable until the post-moonlit stage. The Golem drops some Beetle Husk, which you can combine with Shromite and Spectre Bars and Emeralds to get a new upgrade to your magic storage system, the Blue Chlorophyte upgrade. Beating the Golem also unlocks some new plague-related enemies in the underground jungle, like the Plague Bringer, which will drop Plague Cells canisters. We will hear more of the Plague Bringer very soon, so keep that in mind. Your next boss is going to be the Forgotten One fought in the Aquatic Depths. To summon it, pick up 3 Abyssal Shadows dropped from Aquatic Hallucinations. Make sure to clear out some space to be able to move freely during the fight. Next up will be the 2 seasonal events, being the Pumpkin Moon and the Frost Moon. For the Pumpkin Moon, craft the Pumpkin Moon medallion from pumpkins, ectoplasms, and life alloys and use it at night. As you probably know, the seasonal events work in waves, with more difficult enemies and mini-bosses like the Morningwood or Pumpkin spawning in later waves. After beating those 2 mini-bosses and reaching at least wave 15 on the Pumpkin Moon, the next event will be the Frost Moon, summoned using a naughty present with the same craft as the Pumpkin Moon medallion, except with silk instead of pumpkins. This event has its own sets of mini-bosses, being the Everscream, Senta and K1, and the Ice Queen. For another invasion event, the final one for this tier, we have the Martian Madness, summoned using the Martian Distress remote, bought from the Cyborg for 50 gold. The Martian Madness is especially good since a lot of enemies, and especially the Martian Saucer mini-boss, will give a ton of different weapons for each class. Finally getting back to boss battles, the next boss is none other than Duke Fishron. To summon him, you'll have to get a truffle worm caught in the underground mushroom biome, then use it as bait in the ocean to start the fight. Apart from all of the cool weapons it drops, you also have a chance to get the Fishron wings with some great stats to replace your current pair of wings. Next boss to fight is going to be the Plaguebringer Goliath, summoned in the underground jungle using the Abomination, crafted from fuel cell canisters, Martian conduit plating, dubious plating, mysterious secretary, and an old power cell using the Codebreaker as the crafting station. The Plaguebringer Goliath gives some pretty good plague-related equipment that can definitely be used against some of the last challenges you'll face before the Lunatic Cultist. So let's go through them. First, beating the Golem has unlocked the final tier of the Old One army containing the mini-boss Betsy, spawning on wave 7 of the event. You then have the bosses from the Hallowed biome, with the first one being the Empress of Light, summoned by killing a prismatic lacewing at night, giving some pretty good loot, especially for summoners. Then you have Lux, being a sort of Empress of Light 2.0. It is fought in the Halo by killing a Chaos Construct. To summon constructs at will, you'll need to craft a couple of electromagnetic lures. When used, they will spawn a construct depending on the biome you're in. So depending on the original biome where the Halo is, you might have to summon a few constructs before summoning a Chaos one. Defeating Lux will give you phase ore as loot. This ore can be transformed into bars using a few different crafting recipes, which can be used to make some new weapons. Phase ore will also appear in your worlds toward the sky layer. It can be pretty annoying to deal with, since it will be invisible until you get close to it. Try to mine the clusters of ores that are directly above your base or arena, or you might get some bad surprise when you try to fight bosses in the air. And your final boss before taking on the Lunatic Cultist will be Ravager. It can be summoned using a death whistle, crafted from solar tablet fragments, lizard's bricks, life alloys, and souls of plight. Defeating the Ravager will give you Infernal Blood, being a new permanent rage upgrade, increasing the duration of the rage effect by a second. With the defeat of the Ravager, your next challenge will now be to defeat the Lunatic Cultist and to begin your push toward the post-moonlit stage. When you're ready, go to the dungeon and kill the cultist at the entrance to start the fight. Defeating the Lunatic Cultist brings you into the final tier of Hardmode. As you defeat him, the lunar invasion will start and the 4 lunar pillars will spawn in your world. Defeating the 4 of them will make the moon lord spawn. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves, as there is still a few more final challenges before we can take on the moon lord. The Lunatic Cultist dropped the Ancient Manipulator, a crafting station that will be used for a majority of the crafts coming up for this tier, and beyond in the post-moonlit stage. Having the Ancient Manipulator allows you to begin making Terrarium cores, being considered as one of the final materials being used for a lot of late game crafts. These cores can be crafted by combining one of all major vanilla bars and one ectoplasm. You can already use them to make new weapons and a new armor, and also to upgrade your angel threads to Terrarium particle spiriters. Before taking on these final challenges, it might be worth it to get some new gear from the pillars. You can go and take down the pillar related to your class, with Solar being for melee, Vortex for ranger, Nebula for mage, and Stardust for summoner. If you're playing any other class, you can defeat any pillar you want, as the 3 modded fragments can drop from any pillar, with Shooting Stars for bard, Celestial for healer, and White Dwarf for thrower. If a pillar is inside of the Astral Infection biome, try to get rid of that one, since we will need this biome for future boss battles. While killing enemies from the pillars, you'll get mailed blobs, which can then be crafted into mailed constructs to make some new weapons and eventually armor once you get Luminite. Your next boss is going to be Astrum Deus, your second Astral Infection boss. To summon it, you need to get a Titan Heart, drop from the Atlas enemies in the Astral biome, and offer it at the Astral Beacon. Defeating the boss will make the astral ore you can find in the underground astral biome mineable. Astral ore can be crafted into astral bars from new gear. If you've defeated the Nebula pillar, you can also make the ethereal core, another permanent mana upgrade adding 50 mana. The next boss is going to be Bereaved Vassal. To fight this boss, you'll have to travel to a new dimension by opening up a portal. First, make the Sandstorm's core from Forbidden Fragments, Core of Sunlight, and a Solar Fragment. Then, go to the underground desert, find the portal room, and activate the portal using the core. You'll be teleported into the Lost Colosseum, where you'll start the fight against the boss. Defeating the Bereaved Vessel grants some new Infernum items, as well as access to Sand Shark Scales. Then, the next boss is going to be Subspace Serpent, being the last boss from Secret of the Shadows. It can be summoned using a Catalyst Bomb, from some Torch Bombs, a Dynamite, Ectoplasm, and Soul of Night. You can summon the boss in the Sanctuary. This boss is a tough one, so don't worry if you can't defeat it with pre-Moonload gear. You'll be able to fight Moonload later without gear from this boss. With that being said, defeating it will give you Sangite Scales, a material that you can use to make some new gear, but also to upgrade your boots to the Subspace Boosters. To make this, you'll need your current pair of boots, but also another pair from another crafting tree, the Flash Spark Boots, which can be crafted from Absolute Alloy, Hellfire Threads, and Ashes of Calamity. Then combine the two pairs with the Tabai and the Sangite Scales, and you'll get your new pair. This specific pair will allow you to make a massive dash when you're on the ground, which sometimes can be a bit uncontrollable. However, in a future update, the Infernal Eclipse team plans to make it use its own keybind. And now for your last challenge before defeating the Moonload, you have Astrakeldon, the third and final Astral Infection boss, as well as your first super boss, intended to be the very last boss of the Hardmode. To summon it, you'll need to use the Astral Communicator, dropped by Astrum Deus in the Astral Infection biome. There's a very high chance that you'll feel like this boss is very hard, and it's by design. The boss is a sort of final test of your skills and equipment before going towards the boss Moonload stage. Be aware that in Inferno mod, you can no longer skip phase 1 of Astrakeldon, so stay focused on the entire fight. The rewards you get from this boss will be used later on in the progression, so even if it can be tempting to skip the boss and go for the Moonload, keep pushing and you will eventually succeed. However, if you end up skipping Astrakeldon, Infernal Eclipse allows you to fight him after Moonload. However, this boss will be buffed to a Providence level boss. After defeating it, a new ore will appear deep in the underground astral biome, being Metanova ore. Using this ore and combining it with astral jelly, astral bars, meteorite bars and starblight soot, you'll be able to craft Metanova bars, being the best Hardmode material, used to make your final pieces of gear before the big fight. This gear is usable until Providence, so enjoy the power boost. Alright, enough fooling around, and let's get to what we've all been waiting for, the Moonlode. Go defeat the few remaining pillars in your world and prepare for the impending doom. After all of the pillars are defeated, you'll only have a few seconds until the Moonlode spawns. However, if you don't beat him on the first try, you can take any leftover celestial fragments you have and craft the celestial tablet, which allows you to infinitely respawn him without having to refight the cultists and pillars. When he spawns, give everything you have and you'll eventually take him down. Leaving you in post-Moonlode. Starting the post-Moonlode stage will make you unlock a lot of new content. First, let's talk about the loot you get from the Moonlode. Before talking about the materials, the very first thing that you should do is consume the Celestial Onion for an extra accessory slot if you aren't playing on Master Mode. You of course have the usual super powerful weapons for each class, but the most important resource you get is obviously Luminite. Luminite is your first post-Moonlode material. It is going to be used a lot to make your gear for the following bosses. You can use some to make a new armor, weapons, but also a new upgrade to your storage system with the Luminite upgrade. If you're lucky, you may even have a Radiant Jewel from the Moonlode, which you can use to craft the final upgrade to your storage system, the Terror upgrade. If you already defeated Astrageldon, you'll be able to craft the next upgrade to the Codebreaker, being the Voltage Regulation system. If you haven't beaten Astrageldon yet, don't worry, there will be another recipe for this component that does not require Metanova bars. But if you did make the component, the next schematic to decrypt will be the one for the Underground As biome, requiring 5000 power cells to decrypt. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Where is the sun? As you might have noticed, the rift we observed back in pre-Hardmode when we were stargazing with Solin just took over the sun. Going over to Solin to talk about this, she tells us that in order to destroy the rift, we'll need to use the power of the Frost-Blessed Seedling we planted back when we defeated Cryogen. However, using the seedling alone won't be enough. Instead, we'll need other artifacts alongside it to make a construction she calls Genesis. Right now, there's not much we can do, but just know that trying to assemble Genesis will pretty much be your biggest task in the post-Moonlode stage. Since you've defeated all of the pillars at least once, you have access to all of the fragments, giving you access to a new material, being Galactica Singularities, crafted from either the 4 vanilla fragments or the 3 modded fragments and 1 Mel Blob. This new material will be used a lot in post-Moonlode, so keep that in mind. Defeating the post-Moonlode made new enemies spawn in the Hollow and Hell biome. These enemies will give Unholy Essence, used to make a Profane Shard, being the summoning item for your first post-Moonlode boss, the Profane Guardians. Once you have the shard, go to the Profane Garden, stand on the edge of the cliff and use the shard to begin the fight. Defeating the Guardians will give you a bit of loot, but most notably, a Profane Core used to summon Providence. Beating the Guardians will also open up the door to the Providence Shrine, which as you probably guessed will be the place where you fight Providence. But before doing that, we'll beat another boss called Dragon Folly, summoned in the jungle using exotic pheromones crafted from life alloys and solar fragments. Defeating Dragon Folly will give you Effulgent Feathers, a material that will be used for a few crafts, and a Red Lightning Container, the final permanent rage upgrade, increasing the duration of the effect by another second. Enemies in the dungeon will now have a chance to release Phantom Spirits when killed. These spirits will drop Necroplasm, a new material which will be very important for later crafts. Finally, if you still haven't killed either Subspace Serpent or Astrageldon, this will be a pretty good time to fight them, as your gear should be more than strong enough to fight them fairly easily. Now you should be ready for your fight against Providence. Head to Providence's shrine and use the Profane Core on the altar to begin the fight. With the defeat of Providence, a lot of things will happen in your world. First of all, you'll notice that the rift just got bigger. Talking to Solène about this, she reveals that one of the magical artifacts to defeat the rift could be located by defeating a boss in the dungeon, which is something that we'll check back on later. Providence gives a few interesting loot, weapons and accessories as you expect, but also Divine Geodes, a new material. Defeating Providence also makes a new ore appear in the underground jungle, Yharon ore. Using this new material alongside the Divine Geodes, you'll gain access to the Tarragon line of armors and weapons, and a new tier of pickaxe with the Blossom Pickaxe. You can also make the next permanent health upgrade with the Elderberry, crafted from Life Fruit, Yharon bars, Divine Geodes, and Unholy Essence. If you didn't make the voltage regulator system for the Codebreaker yet, a recipe using Yharon bars is now available for you. As a reminder, the next schematic to decrypt is the one from the underground ice lab. Bosses from now on will drop a new tier of healing potions, being the Supreme Healing Potions, healing for a whopping 250 HP. Enemies from the Brimstone Crag will now be able to drop Bloodstone, which can be crafted into Bloodstone cores. Finally, the most important drop from Providence is the Rune of Gods, used to summon the 3 bosses leading to Poltergeist. You can tackle them in any order you want, so the order in which I'm presenting them is not necessarily the one that you need to follow. Okay, let's get started with Cygnus. To summon the boss, use the Rune of Gods in the underworld. Defeating it will give you Twisting Nether, one of the 3 materials from the rune bosses. For the second boss, I'll go with Stormwaver, summon using the rune in the sky. Defeating it will give you Hardmode Shell, the second material. Defeating your second rune boss will also plunge your world in a sort of nuclear winter because of the rift, so now we really need to do something about this. For the last boss, we have Ceaseless Void, summoned using the rune in the archives, located at the very bottom of the dungeon. After beating the Ceaseless Void, a mysterious rift will appear. Go talk to Solène about this, and she'll ask you to come back to the dungeon with her to investigate. Once you come back to the dungeon with her, she'll jump into the rift and return with one new artifact for the Genesis, the Anti-Seed. Go back to where you planted your first seed and plant the Anti-Seed. You should see the seedling grow. Defeating the Ceaseless Void will also give you the final material from the 3 rune bosses, Dark Plasma. After the 3 rune bosses have been defeated, your last boss before Poltergeist is going to be you. Yes, you have to fight yourself. To do this, you'll need to use a cursed mirror made from glass, lumenite, and the 3 materials dropped from the Sentinels. This is the second super boss of the run, and isn't required for the progression. but beating it grants you access to a powerful mythic weapon, the first Fractal. If you don't know what mythic weapons are, they are a new type of weapons added by the pack which allows other class than the listed damage type to gain 50% of their bonuses on a weapon. For instance, if you are playing Ranger and have a 10% bonus to your Ranger damage, mythic weapons gain 5% of this. Infernal Eclipse convert many weapons for the mods into mythic weapons all throughout the game. Next boss is going to be Poltergeist, summoned in the dungeon using a necroplasmic beacon made from wood and necroplasm. It can also be summoned by killing 30 phantom spirits if you haven't beaten the boss yet. Defeating Poltergeist will give access to Reno's Soul, a material that can be used alongside Bloodstone cores to make the Bloodflare line of armor and weapons. Poltergeist will also drop a Nectar Heart, which will be the final permanent Adrenaline upgrade, boosting Adrenaline damage by 20% and damage reduction by 5%. Finally, beating Poltergeist unlocks the last tier of the Acid Rain event. You'll fight a couple of mini-bosses during the event, like the Mauler or Nuclear Terror. After reaching 99% on the Acid Rain, the Old Duke will spawn, and defeating it will end the event. Defeating the Old Duke will give you some much needed weapons before your next battle, as well as fully opening up the Abyss to the player. Next battle being against the dreaded Devourer of Gods. In Infernum, the Devourer of God is the biggest skill check before really going towards the endgame of the pack, and will most definitely require a lot of attempts and determination. The Devourer of God can be summoned using a Cosmic Worm, crafted from the materials of the 3 rune bosses. If it wasn't done by now, it's very much suggested to upgrade your arena to a much bigger one. Another recommendation for all classes is to spend the time in the Abyss to grind for the multi-class armor at this stage of the game, Omega Blue. Defeating the Devourer of God will make quite a few new resources available. First, the Devourer will drop Cosmolite Bars, a new material that will be extremely useful to make a lot of the endgame gear, but we do need another material before crafting it, so we'll get back on it later. Right now, what you can craft is a new upgrade to your Anvil with the Cosmic Anvil, crafted from any Mithril Anvil, Cosmolite Bars, Luminite Bars, Galactica Singularities, and Exodium Clusters from Luminite Planetoids. To make this new material, you'll need to re-challenge a few events from the Hardmode, and enemies from each event will drop one of the required material. You'll need to do the Pumpkin Moon for Nightmare Fuel, the Frost Moon for Endothermic Energy, and the Solar Eclipse for Dark Sun Fragments. Once you have these 3 materials, combine them with Necroplasm to make some Ascendant Spirit Essence, which is one of the endgame materials. With this new material, a lot of new gear requiring Cosmolite Bars is now available. You now have access to the Godslayer and Silva sets of armors. You can also make some of the final upgrades to class-specific accessories, like the Elemental Gauntlet for Melee, Elemental Quiver for Ranger, Ethereal Talisman for Mage, Nucleogenesis for Summoners, Nanotech for Throwers, Elemental Bloom for Healers, and Omnispeakers for Bards. Some non-class specific accessories also get some new upgrade, like an upgrade to your boots with the Elysian Tracers, and the final upgrade to your shield being the Asgardian Aegis. Now that you have made all of the upgrades you can, it's time to face your next boss, the Primordials, being the last boss from Thorium. To summon the boss, craft the Doomslayer coin, crafted from Galactica Singularities, Ashes of Calamity, and Ascendant Spirit Essence. Use the coin during the night to start the fight. During the second phase, a final boss called Ragnarok will be summoned. This boss will be invulnerable to damage during many points of the battle, and you'll have to regularly fly in these purple circles to be able to deal damage. Beating the Primordials will give you access to a few more materials: Ocean Essence, Inferno Essence, and Death Essence, which can be used to make more gear before the next fight. Next fight is against Yharon. To fight Yharon, you have to craft a Blessed Phoenix Egg from Effulgent Feathers, Life Alloys, Cosmolite Bars, and the 3 materials from the Primordials. Next, use the egg to start the fight. By defeating Yharon, you'll notice that the rift will appear bigger yet again, and almost all of the surface water will be frozen. Yharon will drop a draconic auric soul after you beat him. Picking up the soul will boost a bunch of your stats, but it can only appear once, so make sure you grab it now. The Yharon soul fragment dropped by Yharon can be used to make the final HP upgrade, the Dragon Fruit, crafted from life fruits, solar fragments, Yharon soul fragment, and ascendant spirit essence, increasing your HP by 25. Killing Yharon will also make a new ore appear in the caverns, auric ore. Go grab some and craft them into auric bars by combining the ore with Yharon soul fragments dropped from Yharon. You can use the auric bars to make some new gear like the auric Tesla set, composed of the Godslayer, Bloodflare, and Tarragon set. You can also use auric bars to make the final upgrade to your boots, the Seraph Tracers, requiring Rings of Rebirth from Yharon and auric bars. You can also make the final upgrade to the Cardbreaker, the auric Quantum Cell, crafted from auric bars, Mysterious Secretary, Dubious Plating, Endothermic Energy, Core of Eleum, and Dissolving Aurora. Placing this final upgrade means that your Cardbreaker is ready to contact the Exomex, but will still have a few things to do before doing this. First, craft an Ancient Console made from Martian Conduit Plating, auric bars, and Core of Calamity. Then, place the console at the edge of the world in Hell and activate it to fight your next boss, the Wall of Bronze. Just make sure that you have enough horizontal space, since the boss can move pretty fast in its second phase. Defeating the Wall of Bronze will make the center of Hell frozen. While exploring there, you'll find some frozen Hellstone, which you can craft into enchanted metal, a material that will mainly be used for later, but can also be crafted into some nice weapons for a small power boost. Next thing to do is to retrieve the object at the bottom of the abyss you may have noticed when grinding for the Omega Blue armor, the Terminus. To get the Terminus, you'll need to go at the very bottom of the abyss. To survive the pressure down at the bottom, you'll need to craft the Abyssal Diving Suit, which is an upgrade to the Abyssal Diving Gear, combined with anechoic plating, iron boots, luminite bars, and husks of calamity. But retrieving the Terminus isn't that easy since it is being guarded by the primordial worm. Once you beat it, you'll get some loot, but namely the Terminus and Terminal. Now the next boss is one you walk through the entire game to be able to summon, the Exomex. Go to your completed Cardbreaker and establish contact with Dreadon. Then, choose the two machines you want to start the fight with. When you eventually beat them, Dreadon will make a speech saying how impressed he is and give you your rewards. The Exomech drops Exoprisms, another endgame material that will be useful later. Right now you can make the Dreadon's Forge, which will be the final crafting station of the pack, crafted from a Cosmic Anvil, Soul Forge, Tinkerer's Workshop, Enchant Manipulator, auric bars, Exoprism, Ascended Spirit Essence, and Terrarium cores. Having access to Exoprism now makes it possible to craft one of the most important endgame material, being a combination of all of the most important materials we collected throughout the game. Miracle Matter, crafted from Exoprisms, auric bars, life alloys, cores of calamity, Ascended Spirit Essence, Galactica Singularities, and Terrarium Core. This new Miracle Matter can be used to make some extremely powerful endgame weapons that will certainly help you for your next fight. The Exomex also drop one of the best accessories in the game, Dreadon's Heart. This replaces your Adrenaline meter with the Nanomachines meter, which when full, gives you massive life regen for a few seconds. And now, for the final Vanilla Calamity boss, we have Supreme Witch Calamitas. To summon her, first craft an altar of the Accursed from Brimstone Slag, auric bars, and a core Door of Calamity. Place the altar higher up in your arena and use Ashes of Calamity on the altar to start the fight. Supreme Calamitas drops Ashes of Annihilation, one of the final material used to make the true endgame gear, but we are still missing one other material we'll cover very soon. She will also drop a Blazing Bud, which is a new artifact to add to the Genesis. Once planted, you see the seedling growing taller. Killing Supreme Calamitas will also unlock the Brimstone Witch NPC, giving you access to a new mechanic called Enchantments. Enchantments can be seen as a new type of modifiers, offering interesting new effects for your weapons, but will always come with a drawback. Certain weapons can also be exhumed, transforming them into other weapons. Finally, we have Goozma, your third super boss, which is a bit convoluted to summon, as you need to drop an overloaded sludge on a king slime during a slime rain. Fortunately, the mod provides a way to summon a slime rain whenever you want. You have to make a slime ninja statue and place it, then surround it with 4 regular slime statues, then use a gelatinous catalyst made from slime and the 4 souls of the mech bosses on the ninja statue to start the slime rain, and once king slime spawns, drop the overloaded sludge on him, which will start the fight. Also make sure to disable your summons when the king slime spawns, so you don't instantly kill it before it can transform into Goozma. By beating those 3 bosses, you have fully cemented yourself into the endgame of the pack. Defeating Goozma will grant you Chromatic Mass, being the final piece of the puzzle to make the endgame gear. Combining Auric Bars, Enchanted Metal, Exoprisms, Ashes of Annihilation and Chromatic Mass will give you Shadow Spec Bars, the final resource of the game, allowing you to make all of the endgame weapons, and the final armor being the Demon Shade armor, which gives you massive boosts to stats from every class. This will be the last time that you will upgrade your gear in the whole pack, so I hope you like it. Now that you are armed with the absolute best gear possible, it's time to defeat that rift once and for all. Before doing this though, take the time to complete Solin's bookshelf with all of the books currently obtainable. This will be important for later, and once you progress further past this point, it will be much harder to do this. Go to Solin's camp and talk to her. She'll mention that only one artifact is left for the Genesis and that it belongs to Draydon. You'll both go to the Codebreaker and contact Draydon once again. This time, you will have to beat XG07 Moss. This battle will be pretty special as you will need to fight directly with Solin. Solin will be both your source of attack and defense, as you will need to alternate between firing Solin's death ray at the boss and parrying the oncoming attacks with their protective shield. Once you beat the boss, Dredon will congratulate you once again and give you the synthetic seedling to add to the Genesis. From here on out, we'll cover the end of the What Are the Gods storyline. The rest of the progression is pretty clear, so if you haven't played the mod for yourself personally, I would recommend you to do that before continuing this guide. After planting the synthetic seedling, you'll finally be able to use the Genesis against the Rift to reveal yet again a new super boss. The Avatar of Emptiness. This battle will be a long, tedious fight, but keep pushing to the end to still lose. At the end of the fight, the Avatar will send you to the Paradise, which will slowly cover your screen in static. In a last-ditch effort, Solin will sacrifice their life for yours, but even so, that won't be enough. In the end, a mystical being of primordial light will save you, returning you to the world safely, but at the cost of watching Solin crumble away. Immediately after, you'll notice that the Rift Eclipse has been cleared, and not much longer after that, a white screen will appear saying to retrieve the Terminus to start your final challenge. Using the Terminus as indicated, you'll be transported into the Shining Stairway, where you'll ascend all the way up to the Eternal Garden. Once you reach this garden, you will find nothing but a tree. Go rest under it and prepare for the final battle against... Nameless Deity. Defeating Nameless Deity means that you passed the final test and completed the pack's progression. Now that you've finished the main progression of the pack, you'll still have one more challenge to do, and as you might already know, it is the Calamity Boss Rush. But as you can imagine, in this mod pack, you'll have to fight superpowered version of all of the 80 plus bosses in the pack in a single sitting. Pretty safe to say that if you are playing on Infernum, this final event is extremely difficult and long, maybe the hardest in all of Terraria. I've only seen one video of someone completing the boss rush and it took almost 50 minutes for this person with very optimized gear and strategy. To start the boss rush, you'll have to use the terminal, which is the weirdly drawn terminus that we got in the Abyss, then use it anywhere. It's definitely one of the challenges of all time. It's not the most balanced, obviously, especially when fighting the Excavator, which has an absurd amount of health, like more than the Avatar of Emptiness and Nameless Deity combined 6 times. It's been fixed now, but I just found that so funny when I played the pack for the video. But just remember that you don't necessarily need to finish the boss rush. It's more like a final fun challenge. Beating Nameless Deity should already be enough for most people, but if you do beat it, you can truly say that you have mastered Infernal Eclipse of Ragnarok.
That is, for now at least. Hey, this is Yharon, the lead developer and owner of the Infernal Eclipse of Ragnarok Modpack. First, I just wanted to give a massive thanks to Brome for allowing us to not just be a part of the Terraria Direct, but also making a full-blown guide for our modpack. Make sure you subscribe to him, as we wouldn't be where we are without him. I'm proud to be one of the first modpacks along with Bare Souls, and can't wait to see what is to come in the future. With that being said, however, I would like to elaborate on what I said at the start of this section. As of now, the modpack does end with the defeat of the Nameless Deity and victory over Boss Rush. However, I'm here to say we have so much more planned for this modpack. Currently, the modpack is on version 0.9.7, not 1.0 as many of you noticed. However, there are only 2 major features left to implement for the full release of our pack. The first of these features being Brome and Nycro's upcoming questbook mod, which will feature the intended progression as well as a bunch of visualizations of the content seen in this video. The second of these features being a full-blown boss rush rework that will also be a standalone mod for people to play outside the pack. This mod will aim to fix the tediousness of the current Calamity boss rush, as well as better integrate it into progression, allowing it to be the gateway event for the Nameless Deity and our other future content. And yes, you heard that right, other future content. After the release of 1.0, we plan on working on expanding the lore in the world of our mod pack, adding many new lore-heavy bosses past the Nameless Deity, as well as a minor mod pack expansion including highly requested mods that will add more content for you guys to enjoy the mod pack with. We cannot wait to show you what we have in store, and a massive thanks to you for enjoying the mod pack. If you'd like to stay up to date with our mod pack and any news regarding it, you can join the Discord server linked in the description below. Now, back to Brome to finish this video off.
Alright, that's going to be it for this guide. If you got to this point in the video, congratulations, and I hope you had fun playing the pack. Personally, I really enjoy playing through it, and I'm also excited to see what they plan on doing for some of the future updates. If you want to support the channel and Epic to continue making big videos like this, you can join the channel and become a channel member, or rent the server on Bisect Hosting using the link in the description to get 25% off your first month. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.